For decades, the US-Canada border was the easiest in the world. No drama, no paperwork, just road trips, handshakes, and snowbirds chasing the sun. But in 2025, something's changed. Border agents are fingerprinting Canadians. Phones are being searched without warrants. And what used to be a friendly crossing is starting to feel like a quiet warning. Is this just tighter security? Or the start of a travel boycott Canadians never officially declared? Stick around, because at the end, we'll show you which U.S. states are already feeling the fallout, financially. Why Canadians are pulling back. It starts with politics. The 30-day rule caught snowbirds off guard. Stay longer than a month? You now need to register with U.S. immigration. It used to be 6 months, no problem. Now, miss that step and you might get denied at the border. No warnings, no appeal. But it's not just policy. There's mood shift, perception shift. Canadians say they feel watched, phones searched, messages scrolled through, photos inspected, no warrant needed. Even jokes or memes from years ago could raise red flags. The Canadian government is now officially warning its citizens. Expect digital searches, expect delays, expect suspicion, and that makes people pull back. Add in the high cost of U.S. travel. Flights up, insurance premiums rising, poor exchange rate. And Canadians are starting to say, maybe we skip the States this year. Quietly, collectively. They're going elsewhere. 7 signs. This boycott is real. This isn't a headline-grabbing protest. No hashtags, no formal announcement. But it's real. And it's already reshaping the U.S. economy in subtle ways. Here are 7 signs that Canada's quiet travel boycott is already underway. Sign number 1. Google search trends are falling fast. Before 2020, search interest from Canada for places like Orlando, Niagara Falls, USA, or shopping in Buffalo was sky high. But in 2025, search volume for Florida Vacation USA from Canadian IPs has dropped by 38% compared to 2019 levels, according to Google Trends. Meanwhile, searches for Portugal, Japan, and cruise from Vancouver are climbing. It's not that Canadians aren't traveling. They're just going elsewhere. Sign number 2, border wait times have shrunk. A lot. Historically, summer weekends at crossings like Peace Bridge in Ontario meant long delays, sometimes up to 90 minutes. Now, CBSA, Canada Border Services Agency, reports average weekend waits are down to less than 20 minutes at several key crossings. Not because border agents are faster, because fewer people are showing up. A 23% drop in personal vehicle crossings from Canada to the U.S. was recorded in the first quarter of 2025. That's not a dip, that's erosion. Sign number 3. Influencers are quietly turning away from the U.S. Influencers are like weather vanes. They shift early. In 2024, over 300 Canadian travel influencers had brand partnerships promoting U.S. destinations. In 2025, that number dropped by nearly 40%. Instead, they're promoting trips to Spain, Costa Rica, Iceland, or just exploring their own country. When was the last time you saw a Canadian YouTuber vlogging a Florida road trip? They're not risking awkward border searches, or worse, being turned away on camera. Sign number 4. Tourism boards are slashing budgets. Cities like Buffalo, Burlington, and Bellingham used to market heavily to Canadians. In 2023, Visit Buffalo Niagara spent $1.2 million targeting Canadian audiences. In 2025, less than $500,000. Why? Because conversion rates are down. We're not seeing the ROI anymore, one tourism director said off the record. It's like they're just done with us. Even Visit Florida, which spent over $3 million a year in Canadian ad buys, has reduced its targeting by 25%. Sign number 5. Hotels are offering Canadian-only discounts. Quietly. Hotels in northern U.S. border towns are trying to reverse the trend. Many now run geo-targeted deals. You'll only see the discount if your browser is in Canada. Examples: 10% off for Canadians deals in Bar Harbor, Maine. exchange rate bonus nights in Plattsburgh, New York, free breakfast offers near Detroit, Windsor. This isn't hospitality. It's panic disguised as a promo code. Sign number 6, snowbird cancellations are growing. Florida's Gulf Coast and Arizona's desert towns used to swell with Canadian retirees. In 2020, over 930,000 Canadians stayed long-term in the U.S. In 2025, that number dropped below 600,000, the lowest in 2 decades. Why? The 30-day policy, new paperwork, border anxiety, fear of being flagged, or worse, banned. RV parks, rental condos, and senior care clinics are seeing double-digit cancellations for next season, and it's not coming back quickly. One Florida realtor put it plainly, the trust is broken. And it's really hard to sell sunshine to someone who's afraid of the airport. Sign number 7, U.S. rental car surplus. Near the border. Here's a weird but revealing metric. Rental car supply. In border-adjacent airports like Burlington, Plattsburgh, and Seattle, companies stocked up in anticipation of normal traffic. But by spring 2025, rental fleets were sitting unused. Hertz and Enterprise both report over 20% excess inventory in northern U.S. locations. Some locations are even offering Canadian-only coupons or free border pickup incentives. And still, the cars remain parked. This isn't just a coincidence. It's not a seasonal slump. It's a pattern. Fewer searches, fewer bookings, fewer people. Canadians are still traveling. They're just not coming here. And the U.S. states that used to rely on their quiet neighbor are starting to feel it. Let's talk about those states, because for some U.S. states, losing Canadian tourists isn't just an inconvenience, it's a crisis. Number 1, Florida, the vanishing snowbird economy. Florida has long been the winter home of Canada's retirees. In 2020, over 500,000 Canadians stayed in Florida for more than a month. Now, that number has dropped to just over 290,000 according to the Canadian Snowbird Association. That's a 40% decline in just 5 years. Entire towns, yet like Naples, Sarasota, and the Villages, rely on these visitors. Canadians buy homes here. They use clinics. They hire lawn care, cleaners, dog walkers. And when they don't come back, the local economy doesn't just slow down, it shrinks. One condo association in Sarasota reported 26 units left vacant this season, all Canadian-owned. Number 2, New York, Niagara feels the drip. Niagara Falls, USA, used to be shoulder to shoulder with Canadian families, especially from Ontario. But in 2025, the Canadian car crossings at the Rainbow Bridge dropped by 28% year over year. Buffalo's outlet malls, empty weekday parking lots. Even the Buffalo Airport is reporting lower than expected demand on flights from Toronto area travelers who used to cross for cheaper flights. Local businesses call it a tourism drought. They've even started lobbying state officials to request federal support. Number 3, Arizona, a desert without snowbirds. Canadian snowbirds love Arizona's warmth, especially places like Mesa and Scottsdale. But the state has seen a 35% decline in seasonal Canadian real estate rentals. That's over 14,000 fewer long-term stays this year alone. Add in rising healthcare concerns and a few high-profile incidents at Phoenix Sky Harbor Immigration, and the trust is thinning. Private clinics that once served snowbirds now report empty appointment blocks. Golf resorts are quietly slashing seasonal membership pricing, and yet, the Canadians aren't returning. Number 4, Vermont, lost in the trees. Vermont's economy is small, local, and heavily reliant on tourism, especially from Quebec. French signs are common. Currency converters are built into registers. But in 2025, Quebecois visits are down more than 30% since 2019. One innkeeper in Stowe said, "This is the first time in 15 years our Thanksgiving weekend wasn't sold out." Leaf peeping season is shorter, ski reservations are slower, and small towns are whispering about another kind of fall, economic. Number 5, Michigan, cross-border commerce collapse. Detroit used to be Canada's shopping playground. Gas, groceries, clothes, all cheaper. Canadians came by the thousands. In 2025, vehicle crossings at the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel dropped by 25%. And it's not just Detroit. Port Huron, Sault Ste. Marie, even border casinos are struggling. Outlet malls, once bustling on weekends, now feel like Tuesday mornings. One shop owner in Birch Run said, "We used to joke our best employee was the Canadian dollar. Now it's just gone." Number 6, Washington, the forgotten neighbor. Vancouver and Seattle used to feel like siblings. One-day trips, concerts, Trader Joe's runs. But now, Canadian visits to Washington State are down by over 20% compared to pre-pandemic numbers. Bellingham, a once busy hub for cross-border shopping, is seeing closures. Even the Bellingham International Airport, which relied on Canadian flyers, reported a 15% year-over-year decline in passenger volume. The shift isn't dramatic, it's gradual, and that makes it harder to fix. So, what does all of this mean? The US-Canada border is still open. The lanes are still marked. The signs still say, "Welcome." But the feeling? That's harder to measure. You can't track trust on a spreadsheet. You can't graph unease. But ask a motel owner in Vermont. Ask a snowbird landlord in Florida. Ask the guy at the border crossing who used to wave through a dozen Canadian cars before noon and now waits. This isn't about a policy. It's about a pattern, a shift from automatic welcome to silent suspicion, from "come on in" to "why are you here?" And Canadians, they notice, they feel it, and they're adjusting, quietly, without press conferences, without fanfare. They're spending their money elsewhere. They're rerouting their trips. And for 6 U.S. states, that adjustment is becoming very real, very fast. You don't need a wall to lose a neighbor. You just need to stop making them feel at home. So ask yourself, if you were Canadian, would you still visit the U.S. in 2025? Let us know in the comments. Your stories make this real. And if this video made you think, tap like, subscribe, share it with someone who still thinks Canada is always going to come back, because maybe they're not.